In a world of MVPs, GOATs, and world champions comes a world of busts, failures, and Killian Hayes. All basketball potential accumulates at one point, the NBA draft. So with the fate of the organizations on the line, which teams have capitalized the most this century? Today, we grade every team's ability to draft starting from 2000 until today, Western Conference only. Some prerequisites. A. I'm ranking more on who they picked up on draft night rather than who they drafted. So Luka is still a Mav, Trae Young is still a Hawk, etc, etc. B. I'm assessing based on what they did for their team, not what they did in their careers. So if a player turned out to be an all-star in the future but only averaged 2 points on 5 attempts for their draft team, it's a knock on their draft team. Cool? Cool. While the Lakers had multiple successful stretches this century, making the playoffs 16 times, the conference finals 9 times, and winning it 6 times, this hasn't retracted from their ability to draft Marc Gasol in the second round, even though they traded him for his brother. With that being said, they were so ass. Yes, they had 16 years of relative success, but there was a long stretch where they sucked, and they didn't make any moves to stop. They heard whispers of LeBron coming and just started kicking their feet waiting by the phone. After Shaq left in 2004, their only contributing selection was Andrew Bynum in 2010. But fair enough, right, they were still competing for a playoff spot. But from 2014 to 2019, their main pickups were Julius Randle, D'Lo, Larry Nance Jr., B.I., Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, Moritz Wagner, Alex Caruso, and Max Christie. Is there shit in the water? Cause why did none of them develop? Is there poo in their ears? This isn't rhetorical. You answer the question. How can they have all these pickups and none of them stood out? Yeah, B.I. and Randall averaged around 16 to 18 points, but they are top 5 picks. You had a player that was meant to be the next Magic Johnson and a player that was meant to be the next KD. Yet between everyone I mentioned, even past the Lakers' career, there are only 4 All-Stars, 2 All-NBAs, and 1 All-Defensive teams, which all took place when they weren't on the Lakers. This is between 10 niggas. But fuck it, 6 rings I guess. In fact, there must be poots in the air of LA cause the Clippers were no better. Similar to the Lakers, they've been to the playoffs 11 out of 23 times. But still, from 2000 to 2011, they made it once. This drought resulted in Eric Gordon and Al-Farouq Aminu? Really? Every scout in LA has a headset dent, cause how are you this bad? Even in recent years, they drafted Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who showed potential as a rookie but was traded after 1 season for 4 second-round exits. He is now an MVP candidate, by the way. Truly, the only reason they're above the Lakers is cause they drafted Blake Griffin, who alongside CP3 contributed to some deep playoff runs and individual accolades for a good 7.5 years. The Phoenix Suns are a mad drafting team. Remember, until they got Chris Paul, it was a running joke how bad this team was. That Devin Booker, who they drafted, dropped 70 points in a loss. A team that couldn't score double digits in the first quarter. Generational cheeks. So bad that they've had 13 top lottery picks in the last 9 years. And with these lottery picks, so far the biggest pickup of the century is either Devin Booker or Mari Stoudemire, both great contributors to serious playoff runs. Specifically Devin Booker, alongside number 1 pick DeAndre Ayton, who's also been But aside from them, who is their next best pickup? TJ Warren? Markieff Morris? Yeah, they have a couple hits, but overall they're us. What the fuck actually goes on in Houston? What have they actually done there? Hakeem went to get milk in 02 and since then they've been lackluster. Yao Ming could have been the father that stepped up, but his knees couldn't get him past the first step. So they had to rely on who? Timu Patrick Ewing? The worst Morris twin? Sam Dekker? During the Harden era, the only helpful piece was Clint Capella, so big up him. Even now though, what happened to number 2 pick Jalen Green? He's been the same nigga for 3 years. The only thing he improved was his flexibility. Jabari Smith Jr.'s career highlight is calling LeBron old. None of these young stars are worth their selection, except Şengün. Love that white man. Despite the Spurs being the most respected organization in the NBA, save maybe the Heat, they really don't have a lot of success drafting players. Yes, they have Wemby, but he still has a way to go. So everyone else? Start of the century, Tony Parker. All-time point guard, Mr. Spin Cycle, that's 1. DeJounte Murray. All-star, but gave up the baddest bitch in the game? Don't know how to feel about that. Josh Primo, who was practicing the Drake video in front of his therapist? Fair enough, the Spurs had the longest playoff streak in the league, only missing it in 2020, and already have a game plan for their future, but that also means that every draft pick they had was either traded away or sucked because they were late selections. Even so, they still picked up players like Thiago Splitter, Devin Vassell, Derek White, and of course, generational talent, Jillian Nias. The Utah Jazz, top 3 most friendly environments, and for their overwhelming kindness, they've been rewarded with mid-picks. Actually, Utah have been one of the most successful playoff teams this century, making 15 out of 23 appearances, third most in the West. Yet despite that, they picked up Austin Rivers and Fred VanVleet's love child, Deron Williams, in 2005, who peaked as a top 3 guard in his 5-year stint. In the mid-2000s, they picked up White Mamba Gordon Hayward, who went from role player to all-star and became everyone's favorite white boy. And late last decade, Donovan Mitchell came in as a borderline all-star and averaged 24, 4 and 5 on 55% true shooting for his 5-year stint. Add on elite side talent like Rudy Gobert, Paul Millsap, and his counter Rodney Hood. They're only this low because they never drafted all-time talent, and no one wanted to stick around. All their stars left the second they got some motion. I wonder why. You ask me, I think the entire Dallas Mavericks legacy hinges on 2011, and that's reflected in how cheeks they've been this century. Jason Kidd and Dirk had them eating good for the first decade, even making a finals in 2006, but they were drafted in the 90s, so fuck them. Despite losing in the conference finals and the NBA finals, they couldn't pick up one piece to put them over the edge? Not a single one? I'm being so serious when I say from 2000 to 2015, they made one good pickup, shout out Josh Howard. But at number 9, why did you put them this high, KK, you ask? Honestly, even I'm shaky on this logic. They drafted Luka Doncic, who is a legitimate generational talent. Moreover, they added Jalen Brunson, who had a breakout year in Dallas, and now Derek Lively, who's been an exceptional rookie. Basically, I'm saying that Luka's individual talent plus the team they put around him is worthy of number 10, still bottom percentile. It's like the DCEU having the best superhero suits but only having 2 actually good films.
Kalel, no!
I think this is where teams stop sucking. The Trailblazers are the epitome of mediocrity in the NBA. They've made the playoffs more time than not, but they also lose in the second round more time than not. But even in this perpetual state of sucking, they draft cool picks and add to whatever they're building. First year into the century, they drafted Zach Randolph, generational bully and consistently good big man. In 2003, they drafted Travis Outlaw, who was a good rotation piece. 2006, multi-year all-star, perennial top 10 scorer and all-time fake young nigga LaMarcus Aldridge, called. Nicholas Batum, who's Nicholas Batum. Damian Lillard, who hit a shot one time and was unbearably faithful. CJ McCollum, who's the greatest player to never make an all-star, Anthony Simons, who's the current future of the team, and Scoot Henderson, who's kinda slow right now, but has the potential to be slightly worse than Ja. They draft cool players consistently to stay in a comfortable state regularly, but every now and again they hit a home run. Rest in peace, Caleb Swanigan. The dumpster fire of a team that was the Kings actually had a couple bangers. Most recently, De'Aaron Fox, who went from anime nerd to city hero, and it only took 6 years, which isn't surprising, cause through their history, they've only had success drafting guards. They drafted Tyrese Halliburton, who was the Rookie of the Year for a time. They have Keegan Murray, who's one of the best young shooters not named Demetrius. Tyreek Evans, who was the Rookie of the Year before he became the local crackhead. Even Davion Mitchell has his uses, despite only averaging 6 points. Meanwhile, the only good big they drafted was the Incredible Hulk, I mean DeMarcus Cousins, who, when he wasn't throwing niggas around, was the best center in the league, averaging 27, 12 and 5. Drafting might be the only thing they're good at, except from the time when they tried to replace Boogie with MB3. All he did for them was make walkout songs and walked out himself. But let's move on. The team with the least amount of aura in the league. You will never hear someone say, I don't know, we're gonna have to face the Gumbo Birds, because they know somewhere along the line they're gonna fumble. They've drafted 3 generational talents this century and have the least amount of playoff appearances. They've drafted a nigga called the Point God. Averaged 19, 10 and 5 on 57% true shooting over 6 years, multiple time MVP candidate, and you peaked at semi-finals. You had an all-time defender, 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, MVP finalist, 28 and 11 with 3 blocks, Anthony Davis, so dedicated to the cause that he had a pelican growing out of his body. For you to only make 2 playoff appearances, Zion Williamson, 3rd-year MVP candidate, became a BBL addict when all he has to do is look in the mirror to see that same build.
Ho, brother, ho!
2 top 10 players all-time at their positions, and a super freak, but you can't make the second round?
Let's get weak!
Denver is the pettiest team in the league because they have an all-time legend beefing with Carmelo Anthony for their number because they wanted to suck for Melo's stint. Now Melo's fighting for his life, acting delusional on his podcast, talking about he could have worked because he wanted to pay homage. And it's a fight he's losing because they've actually built a championship unit around Jokic. They gave him Jamal Murray, who's, he's sweet, when he wants to be, not all the time. Then MPJ, who's a shot clock demon. You need someone to shoot, you know where to get the ball to. They never did that with Melo, but to create a championship core and build around that perfectly is rewarding of a top 5 ranking. This might be the worst team in the West for the past existence. 8 playoff appearances this century and 11 in their 34 years of being. I get why they were happy in the play-in appearance. They thought they finally got out of the first round. But why do they suck so much if they keep picking up talent? Once KG left, they immediately got Kevin Love, who was 20 and 15 in year 3. When he skedaddled for a ring, they got Maple Jordan literally the next year. He was Rookie of the Year and everything. Furthermore, they had back-to-back Rookie of the Years with the greatest shooting big man ever, Cat. Oh my god, Cat talks like a cat. Then they added Zach LaVine and other minor pieces like Jarrett Culver, Josh Okogie, Jaden McDaniels, but it took Michael Jordan in a hairpiece to finally get something going. They might actually be his sons. Top 3, woo. The Memphis Grizzlies probably had the best balance in drafting. Most of their picks were good role players, Desmond Baines, Hakeem Warwick, Battier, etc. And while this might constitute a mid-team, it all comes together when they also draft stars like third-year MVP candidate Ja Morant, when they draft fifth-year depoy Jaren Jackson Jr., when they draft the image of consistency and the perfect teammate Mike Conley. Adding Dillon Brooks, Brandon Clark and Desmond Bain is why they've been able to turn it around so quickly. It's why they had the 5th most playoff appearances despite only having Mike Conley, Marc Gasol and Rudy Gay, all non-all-stars. They built a house on concrete and then made a mansion. Number 2, the Golden State Warriors. We should get out of the way now. They basically constructed a dynasty that was finals bound for half a decade without KD. The core of Draymond, Clay and Curry, all NBA first team caliber players, proved that when they won again in 2022, with the addition of draftees Kevon Looney and Jordan Poole. To create a dynasty of the strength of your front office is hard pressed to find nowadays, but for the past few seasons, despite still having a competitive core, and Klay Thompson, they began building for the future. I already mentioned Poole and Looney, but Kuminga has taken an enormous leap forward towards being the future of the team. Moody shows hints and flashes of being a good role player, and they're still in a position to win. Yes, they traded away their main flower in Poole, but if trading Poole lets Kuminga flourish like this, well, we see who we'd rather have. This is the greatest team in modern history. Number 1, the best drafting team of the Western Conference century, the Oklahoma City Thunder, or the team we actually want, the Seattle Supersonics. I'll wrap this up quick and clean for you. They created 2 high-level teams in a Tom and Jerry arse doorway time frame, truly maximizing and developing their talent as much as possible. They got KD's only MVP and the label of the greatest scorer of all time, then paired him with 2 MVPs and elite role players, noticeably perennial brick shithouse Steven Adams and 3-point specialist Andre Roberson. Their team was so stacked, they had an MVP candidate on the bench, but they traded away Harden, KD slivered away, then Russ ran from the grind and they sucked. Only 3.5 years later, they're now the 2nd best team in the league because they picked up generational talent Chet Holmgren and surrounded their core of him and Shea, who wasn't drafted, with elite defenders, playmakers and role players, notably Lou Dort, Josh Giddey and Jalen Williams. Despite having a failed super team, their ability to scout talent and develop them quickly is a testament to their culture and understanding of their game, even if they only have 1 Rookie of the Year. But if you want to see who the greatest rookie of all time is, click this video here. If you like the video, like the video. If you don't subscribe if you want, and I'm done. Okay, bye.